two junglers, including Olaf, Dagda.
I'm surprised to see the Olaf, but Ike's did find comfort on it in last split, and might see a little bit more of it coming out from him in the summer. But right now, I'm looking at Ezreal, I'm looking at the Aphelios that are still open. Possibility of a Graves coming through here, especially towards Beishang, who is a carry jungler in and of himself.
And it's worth mentioning that this draft so far from VICI clearly planned out, because they've taken away Morgan's top 2 picks as well. Banned the Ornn, picked the Renekton.
And now you start to go, okay, well, what does Morgan want to go for here? The Wukong is always really nice, but struggles quite heavily against the Renekton. So it looks like actually what WE are potentially going to go for here is the Aphelios. I was liking the Gragas hover for a moment, because when you look towards a Renekton, they have to go aggressive. They have to try and get in on top of you. So if you've got a Gragas there who can be used as this nice disengage tool, makes it really hard for a Renekton or anything along these lines to try and follow up, particularly maybe a Kalista for iBoy here, which for a little bit of time has been banned away.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Kalista making it through the bans, which is a little bit surprising. Prioritizing the Olaf ban away from Ike's instead. You can see that is going to be locked in immediately. Well predicted there, Dagda. The Kalista set, it's a bot lane to be feared.
It is so difficult to play against this as Jomong. It's incredibly hard because, one, you've got that flash, which is constantly going to be trying to jump on you with set. You can just try and continuously set up for those face breakers, but when you hit that level 6 mark, you've got this serious over and over CC train that is going to be so difficult to deal with.
When you look at the lanes so far, we've got bot and top locked in for both sides. These are winning lanes for VICI. This is not a stall out, wait for the game to happen kind of VICI. This is a aggressive mid-game win.
And now I want to see if they can continue this forward or how they want to try and push on. You can see your WE are getting rid of those champions that you expect to just win. Sorry, excuse me.
Agreed. Bless you, Doctor.
Thank you. As the LeBlanc is now gone, you've got the... I was expecting actually more so the likes of the Syndra to be banned away here from Forge, because you're just doubling down on this mid-game aggression from VICI, but they still could potentially go for that here for Forge.
VICI are going to the tried and true teacher my draft here. Ban everything, remove him from the game. Just a quick reminder though, Syndra's available. Syndra is what he fell back on in playoffs when everyone was just hardcore trying to ban him out. It worked against E-Star. It worked a little bit in this series against top. It only worked for one game though. And you'd expect the Syndra to be the fallback. However, they haven't locked in the Syndra. And we could easily just see that go the way of Forge.
Yeah, I think this is a really strong pick from Forge. You've set up yourself for this really nice mid-game front-to-back fight. The Syndra can play keep away with the Aphelios, kind of pushing a little bit further forward and trying to keep him in check, but still, this is super strong from VICI, and you're limiting even further the champion pool from Teacher Matt. It's a win-win.
And now, if they do go for the Syndra, are they going for the Rek'Sai?
This is
just seeing
so much early game. Oh my, VICI are like, right, we're one and done. If we don't win after 1 to 2 items, we are gone from this game.
I love it, right? If you're against WE, the team that thrives in that environment, just beat them at their own game. Bring such a strong early comp that they can't fight it. Ban out Teacher Mar entirely. Take his Syndra away. Now the question remains, has WE adapted? Have they evolved as a team? Well, there's another global in the meta, boys and girls. It's Twisted Fate.
Yeah, I was going to say, look, what VICI have gone for here is like, we had our sort of late game damage. They've gone for the maul of just bash you continuously over the head. And that's what they'll be trying to do here in the early game against WE. But I love this from Teacher Matt. Look, you will have a hard time against the Syndra in lane. But at least if you can get past this early laning phase, there's a potential for you to still have these big impacts in side lanes. And it'll be on Beishang to try and babysit this mid lane a little bit to make sure that you're not just having Forge continuously set up for these ganks from Ike's.
Yeah, but look at the lanes, Dagda. Look at the lanes. There is not a single matchup that is winning for WE right now. This is going to be, I mean, we talk about them as the Star Guardians of the LPL. It's all about friendship and magic. It's just me, I think, but they're about friendship and magic. They're about coordination as a unit. They're going to need that to pay off here because they aren't going to win individually in these matchups.
I do agree as an analyst. I need a stat that has friendship and magic in there somewhere.
True.
Because that's what's really lacking from League of Legends.
Star Guardian power. That's the kind of statistics I'm looking for in League of Legends. But we'll see if WE are going to have the coordination to be able to manipulate this early game the way they need to, because if it's just left down to lane matchups, if it's left down to Ike's getting the ganks he wants on this Rek'Sai, I don't know if WE are going to be able to match it.
Well, like here for VICI, you are off to a great start. So as you said, 3 winning matchups means you've got a bunch of options here for Ikes. You can either go towards mid like we talked about and try and shut down Teacher on these roaming plays, but you have a really good gank setup in top lane for where Cube can just slice in. You got the Ruthless Predator. Cool, there's a dead Wukong, particularly before that level 6 mark. You can still go down towards that bottom lane as well if you want to. And because you're on blue side here as the Rek'Sai, you've got some great angles to get into bottom side where you can sneak in unknown to the bottom side. Bottom lane even.
We'll see if Ike's can be the sneaky beaver that we all know Rek'Sai to be. As Teacherma versus Forge in the mid lane. Teacherma debuting this Twisted Fate pick. And you know, in hindsight, I feel like a bit of an idiot for not predicting that this Twisted Fate would be right in his wheelhouse.
It does make sense when you think of it, and opting as well here when you look at his runes for the Resolve tree, so he's going to have gone that Demolish, he's going to have picked up that Bone Plating as well, so making him a little bit tankier in lane, which is fantastic against the Syndra, but also means that more than likely Teacher Ma is not going to be looking to join with the team. Instead, you're going to have Morgan and Teacher Ma play off in these side lanes, see if they can get some chip damage for Teacher Ma on the bottom lane, have Morgan on the top side as well, where eventually he will outscale this Renekton. We'll have to see if they ever get to that point though, because as you said, VICI are off to a running start with this comp run.
And we have to find out now if VICI are going to have this early game presence, right? Because we've said it before about VICI where they have a really good draft or whatever, but it's about the execution of these win conditions. Because while that draft has occasionally been a bit of an issue, especially this split, we've seen individually good performances. We saw last split, there was plenty of drafts that went their way, but then the game itself, not really so much.
Well, this is where they get to prove it, because if they don't get this early game lead, well, WEs we talked about can play off in the side lane, and they can start to look for these picks that we talk about that are super strong. Teacher Man, this Twisted Fate, has got the same opportunity to move in with the Destiny, and when you're the likes of a Renekton, a Rek'Sai, if you're not getting going on these first 1 to 2 items, well, you are going to start to fall off and not have any sort of control to keep Teacher Ma and Morgan in check.
So I want to dig into this composition a little bit more from VICI, because obviously we've talked about the fact that this is an aggressive early mid-game composition, right? They want to snowball a victory, but where is the line there? If they don't just try and force wins in the lanes, if they don't try and force things through Ike's power in the jungle, at what point does it just go like, okay, they've made a mistake now? At what point does this composition just fall off?
So it's definitely once they get past that third item where Jomong has hit those, the Phantom Dancer, probably I want to see more of the Death Stance honestly from this Aphelios build, but I think once you get to that stage, well, Morgan is going to have the Triforce, he's going to have his Ravenous Hydra or Titanic Hydra, whatever way he wants to build that team at, a lot more damage in his kit than Cube can really muster up. So this is where WE will come online, but it's also curious to see how Teacher Man is going to start using these first few Destinies, because that really sets the tone for the Twisted Fate game. If you can't get rolling, well, you will not be able to answer for as much damage as a Syndra. Your team fighting won't be as strong as a lot of the carries that are on VICI, but we'll have to see if WE can get rolling here.
Okay, well that's going to be what happens if WE gets rolling. VICI going to be looking to get rolling first as well, and my eyes are on Ike's as well in this jungle matchup, because, you know, Rek'Sai versus Lee Sin, it's often said that Rek'Sai is sort of the counter to Lee Sin.
He is, because you can duel him very effectively. It's difficult to try and land that Sonic Wave combo because you've got the knock-up there from the Rek'Sai, but I don't think at the moment Beishang will be trying to match against Ike's at all. He's trying to avoid him as much as possible, because free pushing lanes means that at any point in time you can have VICI join Ike's in the rivers.
This is a big old minion wave at the bottom side of the map for Jomong and Missing. They've built this massive slow push-up for themselves. They're going to be able to force this underneath the turret, and you can see Beishang hanging around the bottom side of the map there as well. Teacher takes a good amount of damage from Forge in this mid lane. Forge is pretty much out of mana though, so this is going to be pretty much the end of the pressure that he can really layer on until he heads back to base and comes back into the lane.
you can see the game plan here from WE though already started. You've got the Cole coming through from Morgan. I imagine with Teacher Ma clearing out this wave, he'll back now, pick up a Dark Seal to allow him to stay a little bit longer in lane and then continue these pushes, although opting straight for the Catalyst basically does the same thing here, where you're just getting a bunch of mana, getting a bunch of health under your belt, and now he's in a good spot where he can just sit in this lane for a while, so now we've got to see what Ike's going to be able to do and where his first gank is going to go, because right now he's been pretty quiet.
This could be a juicy little gank in the bottom lane. Beisheng was toying with the idea of stepping forwards, but decides to back away in the end, and he will end up walking over this Scuttle Crab by the looks of things. So now he's been spotted by VICI, and maybe this is an opportunity for Ike's to do something, but maybe just continue to farm. He just is safe with this extra bit of knowledge.
I imagine Ike's here is going to start setting up for this dragon. You can already see trying to clear out wards, but they do have to be careful because Teacher Ma has hit that level 6, has the Destiny available, so can come in and join these fights very quickly. And we've seen how devastating it can be for teams that don't play around that Destiny, where you maybe go back to try and clear the wave, try and keep Teacher Ma in check, but he's able to come across and set up. But VICI move their bottom lane up, so should be fine to take this dragon.
Yep, they're going to start this dragon off easy peasy. Beisheng on the wrong side of the map right now, so no contest available for them. And against things like a Kalista, you don't really want to be going for that level 4 fight against them. You can see Cole started off though for iBoy, so realistically, I'm not sure if VICI are necessarily looking to fight around the bottom lane.
Now, I'm surprised, to be honest, to see iBoy go for the Cole, because we talked about how they want to be accelerating towards their items very quickly. So investing in the Cole kind of says, okay, well, we've tossed a bunch of money into later game scaling that they don't really need. But it will give them the opportunity to just hang on a little bit, because from the looks of it, WE aren't going to be fighting until, you know, that third dragon. And at that stage, your Cole will have popped. You're probably getting your second item a little bit faster, and it should be all well and good for VICI.
Yeah, I mean, one of the nice things about the Cole, though, for the side of iBoy is, realistically, your first few items, aside from maybe your boots, don't individually impact your damage too much. Like the Vamp Scepter, getting a couple of daggers early on isn't the be-all and end-all. And because he got it so early, he's already almost halfway through that. It's actually going to be relatively early that he gets a massive injection of gold from the Cole.
Again, though, VICI taking this nice and passive in the early game, and WE are happy that this is the case, because they are the ones that are looking to farm to get up towards those later stage items. And if Teacher Ma is just sitting in this mid lane, getting towards that Rod of Ages, he's going to be in great shape, although now starting to have the opportunity to push out. We'll try and make these plays down towards the bottom side. You can see only one minion dematerializer left for Teacher Ma. He's been consistently stacking these on the back line, so back wave even of minions, so then he's able to clear those out with just a single rotation of spells and then move down towards the bottom lane.
Ike's wants to move in towards this blue buff, but realistically there's not a whole lot that's going to happen there. Lantern available. Jomon gets out, and that's just going to be both sums from Hung.
Hoping to try and set up for something, because you can see Ike's was in this bottom lane. We talked about the different routes that he can take into the bottom side of the map, but fortunately not able to burn a single summoner spell. Jomon will be able to heal this up nicely, and now VICI just a summoner spell down.
We'll see if that's going to make too much of an impact. Whether or not they... I mean, realistically, I'm not sure WE are going to be trying to make a play on Hung. It's just going to deny his ability to make plays elsewhere on the map. He's moving up towards this top half, because Ike's has already started the Rift Herald. And it looks like WE are going to answer a lot of pings going down onto this portion of the map from both teams.
Poor timing from Ike's. The wave is pushing in the top lane, so Morgan's actually free to rotate first, and this is where you're getting a lot of your pressure is off of Q being able to move down into River before Morgan does. But now with this reset, bought enough time for Cube to push in, so it should be fine for VICI to come and join this fight.
It's pretty even across the map when it comes to CS numbers, except for that top laner. Cube has a significant lead over Morgan so far in this game, but Morgan with the Tiamat should be able to even things up in the next few minutes. Destiny going to be used here from Teacher Ma. It's going to spot out that the entire team from VICI is here, but that's not going to deter him. They're going to make this play. Herald goes down. WE just looking to stop this, looking to deny the Herald. Missing wants to stop him, but Cube gets the Herald in the end. Now the fight has begun, but Missing, he just can't tank this one up. First blood goes the way of Cube. And honestly, just overcommitment from WE here.
I like the idea from WE, which was if we can force Cube to take this Rift Herald, well then that guarantees that it's being used onto Renekton, who's not going to be the biggest benefactor of VICI. But the problem was, as you said, Missing going that little bit too far forward, gets caught out, ends up giving a kill across as well. So in the end, VICI still come out with a net win, and we'll have to see if they can get a little bit more out of this Rift Herald.
So, you know, I saw both the top laners walking into the brush there. I was like, oh, maybe we've got a skirmish on our way. It's just one staff bonk from Morgan, and that's the end of the trade. I was like, oh, a little bit disappointed. But Beishyung maybe is going to answer my prayers as he moves up. But the ward dies as he enters the brush. Unfortunate timing. And you can see he knows it too.
He's going to back off straight away. But again, this is very slow early game. You do see, look, VICI are getting a lead, at least when it comes to the CS department. Massive one in the top lane. And that's really where a lot of their gold lead is coming from right now. But without Ike's really getting much in the way of ganks going early, WE have been doing a good job of playing passively underneath their towers. Well, they're getting to a stage where, okay, VICI are getting the first item completed, but they haven't been able to push forward as aggressively as they would have liked.
Morgan and Cube both going to be holding on to their TPs here. They're going to walk back to lane, and that's because an Infernal Drake is about to spawn onto the map in 10 seconds. And I don't know about you, Dagda, but I've never known WE to forfeit an Infernal Drake in the early game before.
I don't think they're going to want to do that very much either, Munch, to be honest. And now WE.
So, hang on, before we get into this fight, because I've got a feeling it's all going to kick off, Dagda. Yeah, I have interrupted you because I want you to talk about something specific here. We said that VICI have a lot of advantages when it comes to this early game. Is this just a bad fight for WE?
100% yes. WE really do not want to get caught out here because there's so much engage from VICI, and they just hit one item almost across the board, which is where they're in their best shape. But VICI not in a position to fight. They've been too late to the party.
Hey, you don't have a bad fight if you don't fight. That's the WE motto right now. Morgan having to desperately try and defend his tower here. We'll be able to finish off the Herald, but a lot of gold just going the way of Cube. Bear in mind, Cube was the one that got the Herald. He gets all of that play gold.
The thing is, though, Cube is gone with this Black Cleaver build, which means he falls off quicker against Morgan. He's not gone for the Blade of the Rune King, which would have at least extended the period where he's still able to fight against Morgan. So this gold is great, but the build means he won't be as successful in these fights as it comes to the 1v1.
I was a little bit worried for Teachamar in the mid lane there. He took a lot of damage from Forge, and now he's going to be forced to return to his base. Bear in mind, Destiny is available. Ike's has been spotted on the control ward. Beishyung hits him with a Sonic Wave. Lets him know that he knows exactly what's going on. Beishyung will defend his red buff. And this feels like, even though there's only been one kill, this feels like a tense early game. Both teams very aware of what the other one wants to try and achieve, and they're desperately trying to make sure that can't happen.
Well, it's VICI that are still poking and prodding and trying to see if they can bring WE out of their turtling, but unfortunately being late to that dragon means that they don't have an opportunity to try and force a fight. Beishyung does a good job of stealing it away. And now they've got to wait for the next rotation of objectives, which is that Rift Herald that's several minutes away. The Dragon, that's still several minutes away. And that's now where you're starting to see, okay, Aphelios will have his Infinity Edge completed. Now, they're still not going to want to fight as WE, but at least they're delaying the time before they've got to fight for a third Dragon, before they've really got to worry about anything like a Baron coming in.
Yeah, understandable and a nice little play from them. But ultimately, it is VICI that have the lead right now. Let's just take a look at the top of the scoreboard. Despite being 1 kill to 0 and no towers going down, VICI have somehow acquired themselves a almost 2,000 gold lead.
Well, it comes down to that top and mid lane CS, right? And Cube's going to add on to it with this turret in the top lane.
That is, he just got 610 gold from that tower. Cube, having a Herald to himself, doesn't have to share a single modicum of that plate gold. He got all 5 plates and the first tower of the game. That is a rich old croc in the top lane. We've got a pick in the mid lane, though. Damage galore and no way out for Forge.
He's got nowhere to go. WE investing both flashes of Missing and Teachamar there, but secure the kill. And it's just, again, about getting a little bit more breathing room for them, and Teachamar getting a bit more gold, so he's a bit more useful when it comes to those Destiny plays.
I didn't quite see who actually got the kill credit.
It was
on
actually
that one.
Beishyung in the end, yeah.
Yeah, so
Still
Beishyung. I mean, you know, you're happy to get a kill on Lee Sin, honestly. I don't think it's the end of the world that Teachamar doesn't get the credit. But ultimately, it's another pick going... Oh, I say another. That's the first pick of the game for WE. shutting Forge down. Also, bear in mind, his flash is going to be on cooldown for a while now.
With this next dragon coming up in just 2 minutes, though, this is where WE need to get the hell away from it. Unless, again, VICI are not in a position to fight and they're late to the dragon. But hang on, actually.
Or if Cube gets caught out. There's a big old... Actually, there's no bounty on him. I'm kind of surprised by that one. But Cube, exhausted, pushed away. There's a lot of Shuriken. Not that much damage on Jomung, but he's going to jump forwards anyway. Stun goes on through. Maybe he can turn it. Doesn't. Oh, one more auto would have done it. Now onto Forge as well. WE across the entire map. Forget the Dragon Dagger. They just want to fight.
And this is the thing about WE. They're so good with picking people off. And VICI had them 2 on a silver platter. One in the bottom lane. Ooh, Teacher Ma.
Teacher Ma's in trouble. Doesn't have flash because he's on the wrong summoners right now. Showstopper pulls him in, but in comes Beishang to defend him as well. Kicks back iBoy. Damage isn't quite there. iBoy gets the heal, keeps himself safe. Beishang misses the Sonic Wave. Morgan, Cyclone on cooldown, so he can't quite go in, but missing is here. Lantern onto Beishang. Sonic Wave goes wide, though. Missing left alone right here. He needed support quicker on that one. Flash away from Ike's. Morgan finishes that kill off. In comes Cube, and he's going to look for the monkey now. Hung alongside him here. Warrior Trickster will be available shortly, so Morgan's safe.
A lot invested on both sides to try and make this scrappy fight work. Teacher Ma eventually, in that fight though, does manage to pick up the play on the top side, so gets 1 kill there. He tried to pull the blue card to finish off Kalista, because the blue card has the most amount of AP scaling now at 0.9. It wasn't a mistake in trying to, you know, get the stun on her. It was actually just trying to outright kill the Kalista. And Missing, as you talked about, being left high and dry, doesn't even bother investing in the stopwatch because he knows either way, I'm going to be left out here. VICI are going to be able to get the kill. So saving that for a later play, which I do like.
Yeah, good stuff from Missing. And Missing has been consistently a really, really solid support player, especially on this Thresh. This has been kind of one of, if not his, signature pick in the bottom lane. And you said, WE, they need to just avoid this Dragon like the plague. It's exactly what they're going to do. Yeah.
So look, the items are already coming through for VICI. That 1 item to 2 item spike is incredibly strong for this composition. So WE will stay away, but I like that WE are not willing to just sit back the entire time. We saw them make the play onto the bottom lane to pick off Cube. Teacher Ma still getting in Romy, but Jomung.
Yeah, you're doomed. There's nothing you can do on Aphelios, especially when those summoners. He flashed aggressively in the last fight, and he's punished for it.
Beishang now, trying to see if he can get that Rift Herald though, so they're answering a turret for a kill. They're going to get this Rift, and although it doesn't really look like WE will be able to use this too much to get a tower, at least it denies the ability of VICI to be able to push as aggressive as they would want.
I mean, you say they can't, but we do have Teacher Ma actually TPing in the mid lane. Oh, the hook onto iBoy from Missing into a Cyclone. But iBoy gets away with his flash. Pulls his support out as well. Destiny are being used. But there was no gold card.
They run out. He couldn't get in there. And even using the Nimbus Cloak speed up. Oh, actually, he doesn't even have it now that I say it. The reason Teacher Ma wasn't able to get in there was not having Nimbus Cloak, because he went with the Resolve Tree path, means that he's not able to close the distance in the way he usually would be on a different build.
Do you know, I was excited about the Teacher Ma Twisted Fate. I was like, you know, this sounds like it'll fit his champion pool. It sounds exciting. Doesn't even know how to gold card Dagda. Not impressed.
Give him some time, okay? It's a little bit funky when you get used to playing as champion a certain way and then they change it. Like, I've been trying at the new, the Thresh build, the Shirelia's Reverie build, rather than going towards a bit more of a tanky build. I have inted like several games in a row.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
I know,
true.
I'm well aware of that fact. Don't have to tell me. But you're not a professional player, Dagda. Teacher Ma is.
Yes. Don't you ruin my dreams. All right, I came in as a caster here to learn from the best region in the world, so then I can eventually move into being a pro player.
Where are you going to play, though? You going to play in LPL?
No, they're not going to have me.
True. Well, maybe Teacher Ma. There might be a spot opening up in WE if Teacher Ma can't get some gold cards together. But maybe I'm being a little bit harsh there. But importantly, WE have actually closed the gold gap, because VICI were almost 2,000 ahead a few minutes ago. WE, they gave up the dragon quite happily, and they have managed to make plays elsewhere to grab some gold for themselves.
And this is the important part, is WE still finding these picks that we know and love from their style. able to get the pick top and bot, gives a bit of gold back in their favor. You're getting an Inferno Dragon as well, just in the midst of all the chaos, but WE now need to back away.
Morgan's fine. Morgan is a WWE superstar top laner. He's 2-0-0 Dagda. He's not going to get caught out by a mere gank from a mid laner. This guy's invincible.
Mere gank from a mid laner, a jungler, a support, and a top laner that was fairly quickly following as well. But either way, VICI not able to get as much as they would have liked. They do get the tower, so they got all 3 outer towers down, but at this stage for WE, you're fine. These are more give-me's. You just wanted to hold on to them for as long as possible, but it's more about defending these inner 3 that are going to be a little bit more difficult for VICI to crack.
Missing and Beisheng going to be waiting off to the side here as Jomung sets it all up. Destiny used in the mid lane. iBoy's caught once again. This time there's no flash and there's no way out. Missing with a beautiful lantern as well. And that felt like an orchestrated, choreographed play from WE.
This is why WE are so much fun to watch, but one more time, Mr. Munch.
Missing gets yet another pull, and they're going to kick the Croc back into the team. I'm not sure if that's actually the best idea right now. Jomung gets some good damage down. He's already got his Hurricane. Dragon spawning in a minute's time.
Hey, you've got Morgan down on this bottom lane turret, though, so buys enough time. They get the kill on iBoy. They got the tower, so you're the ones trading up here as WE, and this is the power of this Twisted Fate pick, the ability to find picks while creating pressure elsewhere on the map.
Dagda, what happened to VICI being the mid-game gods with this composition? What's going wrong right now?
They're not being able to keep up with the global pressure from WE. They're trying to set up for these plays where they can go for dragon fights, but WE reading that, not giving the opportunity to go for it, not giving the opportunity to steal away Rift Heralds, and with Teacher Ma being able to consistently pick out the likes of iBoy or Cube or anyone else who's overextended, WE are just playing exactly what we know them for.
Well, there's a Drake about to spawn in 10 seconds, and the question now will be, are WE confident enough to fight for a Drake directly? Missing barely gets away from the stun. His hook goes wide as well. iBoy low. Beisheng is not going to follow the kick, though. That's going to be a Fate's Call used. That's a big old cooldown from VICI.
Still have to be careful, though, because Teacher Matt did use his flash to try and set up onto iBoy, but no follow-up. So VICI now being pushed back, but not a poke from Teacher Ma, from Jomung, and they're not able to actually close this. This is a reasonably short-range composition from VICI, so without a big engage from Hong or without some sort of Scatter the Weak from Forge, they will struggle to close the gap onto WE.
WE know it. They're going to start this Dragon off. Morgan is looking for that patented Wukong flank. He's got his flash available. Destiny going to be used here. He's trying to deter them. Dragon goes the way of WE. They don't need to fight right now, but they might go for it anyway. In goes Teacher Ma straight into everyone. Morgan, you got to get in there, mate, because your mid lane is in trouble. The Zhonya's is down, and so is his health bar. Cube is massive. Jomung has a lot of shurikens, but no way to get onto anyone. Cube hooked on up, box used as well. Morgan knock up onto everyone, but there's no follow-up. Can they finish these health bars off? Morgan goes down. Jomung flashes forward. He's trying to finish them off. Look at the shurikens. He's knocked up though. Can iBoy get the kill? Yes, he can. Ike's now chasing down. Missing gets the play. Triple kill as Beisheng can't go back in. Missing uses the stopwatch, but he cannot escape. The stack up comes through, and iBoy comes up big.
And I was about to answer you saying that WE do not want to take this fight. VICI are still very much in the driver's seat. This is their 2-item spike, and VICI get handed that fight with WE trying to go over-aggressive after they got the objective, and VICI strike back.
And both AD carries go massive in the fight as well. iBoy sweeping up so many kills. He's 4-1-4 right now, but the triple kill for Jomung as well. 5-2-0. Aphelios, though, with more and more items, is going to become very scary.
And you can see it's at least getting close to even on that fight, where you do have Jomung being able to do a lot of work, but he had the perfect guns for that fight. He had the Severum, he had the Crescendum, he was able to stay close and get multiple shurikens running through VICI, but you can't always guarantee that, and Teacher Ma going a little bit too aggressive there. He's not on the Galio, he's not on some of these more tanky champions, and he ends up being left again out on his lonesome when he comes out of that song.
And let's just take a moment to feel a bit of pity for Morgan in that fight, because he got a perfect ultimate. It was onto 4 people. but at the same time, everyone from W was on Cube, so they couldn't really follow up.
I'm not sure why Teacher Mal went for this super aggressive Destiny, though. He'd taken the heal at the beginning of this fight, so he can use the heal as a speed up to close the fight, but not able to do so. And then as we get in here, Jomong's doing a lot of work, but Cube in a fantastic position here to play keep away from the WE80 carry. And with VICI buying enough time here, a great re-engage from Ike's as well. They're able to turn that one back around.
I take it back. This wasn't even about iBoy. This was about Ike's in that fight. He played that so beautifully. Now Cube trying to get onto Morgan. Finds the stun onto the Monkey. Warrior Trickster on cooldown. The Lantern is there, but the showstopper stops Morgan's show right here. Maybe it's Hung that's WWE, because Jomong is going to be the next one on the chopping block. Ike's is the answer, though. So it's going to be a 1-for-2 overall, but VICI still in the driver's seat.
All right, WE, can we take a step back and not try and keep fighting VICI? You're still waiting on items to come in, and now VICI have found the opportunity to crack open these turrets, because they don't really have a siege style of comp. They can't really go for these turrets unless WE are given the opportunity, and that's exactly what they're doing with every fight they try and take.
And let's just take a moment to appreciate here the fact that both of the AD carries in this game have... Oh, hang on. We don't have a second. Destiny goes on in. They're finding Forge. Off in his jungle. Sonic Wave to finish it off. Beisheng gets himself a kill.
They managed to get a kill, but there's nothing on the map for them right now to take. They'll at least be able to get some vision control for this dragon in a minute 30. Make sure they're in a better spot to try and fight for it. But VICI, just off these backs, should be able to clear out at least a vision in their own side of the jungle.
It's going to be nice to get an extra kill onto Beisheng as well. You would have liked to get that gold over to Teacher Ma, though, to be honest. But just what I was saying before, both of these AD carries have a lot of onus on them to carry this game right. They're a lot of their team's damage. These are both AD carries that are notorious in the LPL for getting caught out and losing their team the game. This is a dicey situation on both sides of the board.
And you can see it reflected in the gold as well. This back and forth curve as they try and figure out how they're supposed to broach this. But from now, WE should still be able to set up a nice front to back. They should be able to try and aggress forward, because when you look at the items now for Jomong, he's very close to finishing that third item, which is where he'll start to come online. You've got the Mercurial Scimitar finish for iBoy, but it doesn't really add much to what Kalista wants to do. And with Morgan finishing the Triforce, very close to that Death Stance, when that Death Stance is finished, he becomes an Ion unbeatable in the backline and should be able to force iBoy away from a lot of these fights.
That'll be the question, is can they keep iBoy out of things? Can they stop him stacking those rents? I think we might have another fight on our hands here, Dagda. Keep your eyes on Morgan, and if he can find these Cyclones, Hung forces everybody away. Dragon spawning in 5 seconds time.
Banshee's Veil complete on Teacher Ma means he can go very aggressive and not worry about getting caught out with 1 or 2 spells, especially with the Zhonya's in the back pocket as well.
So how's this one going to go down, Dagda? Who we got to keep our eyes on?
It's going to be a case of Cube trying to play frontline here, but there's the hook.
Well, he's definitely on the front line. They're doing a lot of work to burn him down. Dominus still available. Not actually going for that one just yet. Now going to be used. Moonlight Vigil. There's a face breaker and a half, but no follow-up whatsoever. Hung doing somewhat damage there. iBoy gets 1 kill, but it's onto Jomong, and Cube going massive in the back line as well. Morgan doesn't have the damage to answer for this one as Teacher Ma falls, and VICI have found the perfect fight off the back of Hung with a 5-man face breaker.
Hung played that spectacularly, getting the showstopper straight in onto everyone on WE, the face breaker into the body slam off of the Fate's Call, and from there, Jomong is just stuck. He's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to hide, and VICI clean house.
Hung making his mark in this game, making an argument for MVP off of that play alone. Now he's going to kick this Baron off as the rest of VICI arrive.
It wasn't only Hung though. iBoy flashed in aggressively there to make sure he finished off Jomong. Spotting the Severin and Crescendum on this Aphelios, knowing he'll heal up if he gets the opportunity, doesn't give him that. Jumps in, gets the autos, gets the rend, wins the fight, and wins the Baron for VICI.
Beautifully done, and now they've found themselves a bit more of a sizable gold lead. 5,000 in their favor, and Soul Point as well as Baron buff. Everything seems to be coming up VICI.
And when we just criticized iBoy, I want to point out just how well he played this. So, as you can see here, Hung, don't get me wrong, this engage was amazing. getting the turn onto Morgan here, knowing he'd be unstoppable as he went in. But iBoy flashing in aggressively here makes sure that Jomon gets finished off. With him positioning forward, he's got the Mercurial Scimitar. He knows he's going to be fine. As Beishang goes aggressive, Cleanse actually able to get out of there as well with that Rent coming in. And then he's in fantastic shape here as the rest of VICI are killing everyone.
And the split second that they grouped up, Beishang saw that it was about to happen. He saw that Hung was going in. He was like, I got to be a part of this. Safeguards into the face breaker right at the start of the fight. And WE, the team that we know for coordination and team play, maybe staying a little bit too close and friendly together.
iBoy now has set himself up in a fantastic position. He's 7-1-7. He's going to be looking at this Death Dance to round out this build as well. So he's going to be very difficult to try and kill. And Morgan, as you can see, who's 2 levels behind Cube, is struggling a bit to deal with this backline. And as a result, VICI are thriving much later than we expected them to be able to fight against WE.
Still going to have the advantage for themselves. WE, they want to hold on to this tower. I don't really think it's a reasonable expectation, though. Hung toying with the idea of going underneath with the Hex Splash. This Cube's just going to clear away the vision. This Baron Wave being forced away by Jomon. And VICI, it feels a little nervous to force the issue.
Yeah, you can see they think of the same thing. They're not really able to do too much. Even though they have the Baron, they're such a short-range composition that trying to get the auto attacks on this turret, especially as iBoy, is incredibly painful. You don't have flash, so you can't really go aggressive and still be able to get away from, say, the likes of Beishang with the flash kick, or even if Morgan manages to flash on top of him.
I thought Tichimo was in trouble there. It looked like he was stepping forward to try and get onto iBoy. He will be safe, though, in the end, and he's just going to be clearing away the waves as much as he can in the mid lane. Obviously, they are Baroned up minions, so it becomes much more difficult. VICI decide top lane is the key. They're going to find themselves a tier 2 with this Baron buff that they've only got 30 seconds left of.
They have managed to crack all the outer turrets, though. Cube will add that last one to the repertoire as he starts to push in. So they do get quite a lot off of it. It's just you're going to need another Baron now to try and crack the inhibitors, and that's where it gets really difficult for VICI.
In fact, they might not even get this tier 2 as everybody from WE arrives at the last second to respond. You've got Morgan that cleared away the minions in the top lane as well. So WE doing a decent job here to honestly hold on, and when you look at the gold lead, it is still going to be about that 5,000.
The core items for WE have really started to come through, though. Triforce Death Stance for Morgan. That Death Stance was what I was really rating on to him for him to be as big of a menace as possible in these fights. Looking towards Teacher Ma as well. Lich Bane nearly done for this guy, so you've now got to have someone deal with him in a side lane. And although Cube is going to be slightly ahead of Morgan, that Death Stance is going to teeter things back in the Monkey's favor. So now you've got 2 side lanes that are going to struggle for VICI to actually deal with.
A lot of this as well is just going to be resting on the shoulders of Jomon. If VICI can find a way to get onto this Aphelios to shut him down at the start of a fight, they'll be sitting pretty. But if he's able to get a good Moonlight Vigil off, stack up a bunch of shurikens, I don't know, that's a real scary prospect right now.
WE are collapsing on mid, though. They've managed to get their waves back in a little bit of an order.
Morgan's trying to find a way in, and they're going straight on towards Forge. They're going to find the pick with the Moonlight Vigil. Beishang goes in as well. Flashes away to safety, and now they're just looking to escape. Cube goes in, though. Beishang safeguards and somehow survives. In they go. Ikes diving onto the backline. Beishang finally falls. Showstopper in as well. iBoy stacking up the rents. Keep your eyes on the Kalista, but the Cyclone from Morgan stops him for a second at least. Beishang and Jomon still going strong. In fact, Beishang went down. Jomon free firing here. Soul point right now for VICI, and Dragon about to spawn.
Screw iBoy! Keep your eyes on Jomon!
iBoy's in trouble. There's the Gravita flashes away from the death sentence. Barely survives, but in comes Morgan. 1,000 gold shut down for the WWE superstar. And now into the mid lane go WE.
And WE can keep pushing. They could crack open this inhibitor if they wanted to, but instead now turning towards this dragon, making sure that they get it before VICI can respawn. Forge is up though, he has the teleport. Cube as well can still be a nuisance, but with Ike's going towards the top side, they've gifted this over to WE.
This is going to be both teams on Soul Point, both teams with Mountain Drakes galore as well. That gold gap closes ever so slightly. We go back to a neutral state with Baron spawning in 45 seconds.
When we look at the way these fights are going now, though, it's so difficult for iBoy to operate. He's being jumped on by Beishang, by Teacher Ma, Morgan. Missine's hooks are going directly towards him, and there's not a huge amount that he can do to try and avoid it. Especially when Jomung now has hit critical mass. He is so damn strong, and even with Cube jumping onto him, with all that armor that he's gone for, it's still not enough to survive very long against this Aphelios.
It's so difficult to survive when Aphelios can just burn through, especially when, let's bear in mind, that fight started with Forge getting picked off. So the whole time, it was a 4v5 in WE's favor.
You can see this is really coming down to the wire, but WE, they're scaling. They're getting to the later stages. VICI, I don't know how much they've left in the tank, Munch.
You know what, Dagda? This is just game one.
I know.
This is the first game of this series. We've got plenty more of this ahead of us.
We've had a treat today, man. It has been a good day today.
We've had some insane games across the course of today with our first series going the whole distance. Now WE stacking on up. Destiny available, so Teachma can force the play. Morgan going for the flank, and he wants to get in onto everyone. 4-man Cyclone, and now for the follow-up. Can they finish these kills? Teachma has to use his Zhonya's to keep himself safe, but Jomung is still going. Cube's about to go down. Teachma falls. VICI are winning for now. Keep your eyes on Jomung. Can he burn the health bars? Apparently so. iBoy can't do a whole lot about it. Ren's not enough. Jomung kiting away. The lifesteal is there, and Jomung cleans up the fight and gets himself everything.
WE come out of nowhere and managed to get that fight. iBoy tried desperately to carry, but one dying hook from Missing CCs him, puts him down, and WE can take the game.
Oh my days, 19-19. It couldn't have been closer between VICI and WE. We have an absolute bloodbath in game number one, but WE are the ones to take it, and they take themselves game number one in this series.
What a damn game. First game for VICI and WE, and I am so excited for this series, but beautiful play on both sides.